Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Desiree and I'm the owner and creator behind The Handmade Mom, where I create mom and positivity focused items. All right, so we are coming up to the fall time, and if you are a small business owner, then you will know that typically means that business will start to pick up a little bit for us. Fall time tends to be a little bit busier because of gift giving season and the holidays and all of that fun stuff. So that tends to pick up, but for me this year it means that I'm going to be going back into markets, vendor fairs, craft markets, craft shows, however you want to call it, but I'm going to be jumping back into that. Now I say jumping back into it because by the time I do my first craft show this year, it will be almost a year, just about a year since I had done my last one, which was back in November. I did have to stop after that market because I was pregnant with my twins at the time and I was very large, and it was just getting really difficult to do the things that I needed to do and take care of myself. So had to take a pause on that, and then of course after we had the twins, it's been just a whirlwind of trying to figure out how to manage 3 children now and how to take care of twins, like 2 babies at the same time. Like, that's a whole ball game in and of itself. But we are finally getting to the point now where I can get back into markets. I absolutely loved doing markets. Pretty much my entire first year of business, that's all I did was vendor markets. I did not really sell online. If I did, it was anything that came through like my direct messages, but otherwise it was all in-person sales. So I really, really worked hard on fine-tuning and learning and growing my experience with vendor markets. And throughout that first full year, and I really was proud of where I ended up. I decided that I wanted to share some tips. Okay, sorry y'all. One of the twins woke up and it took us a minute to get them to go back down. We are working through the 6-month sleep regression right now. So yeah, that's a thing. Anyways, what was I saying? I think the last thing I mentioned was that I have been doing vendor markets pretty much since I had started my business, and that's how I got started. And I really, really enjoyed it, and I really, really miss it. And I learned a lot from that first year of doing markets. I thought that I would share some of that knowledge. Now, I'm not an expert, and by no means are these the best ways for all the things that I'm going to share, but they're things that I've done and that have worked for me. So yeah, I thought I would share that with you guys. I'm going to do a small series of videos that are covering different topics. So it's not one giant long video. It'll be broken up for you guys. But this week we're going to be talking about how to find markets. If you are a small business that's interested in going to markets or interested in becoming a vendor at an event, how do you go about finding those, and where do you find those things anyways? So we are going to talk about that first. All right, so I have 4 tips on ways that you can find vendor events in your local area. Now, keep in mind, if you are looking to do vendor events that are maybe outside of your local area, maybe in another large city, or maybe in another state even, that might be a little bit different. I have not done anything of that scale yet, but these are what I have done to find local events around me. Okay. Like I said, sleep regression for both the twins, and yeah, they're not on the same schedule. So now we are keeping an eye on Cece because she's stirring. So anyways, I'm gonna try to get through this kind of quickly. The first tip that I have for finding markets or finding vendor events for you to be a part of is to join Facebook groups. If you just go into Facebook and search in there your city name added at the end, vendor events, vendor fairs, craft fairs, craft shows, anything like that, usually you'll be able to find a list of different groups that have already been set up with people who are posting about their events, looking for vendors. There's a huge wide variety of different types of events that you'll see coming through there. I've seen craft shows, I've seen Comic-Cons, I've seen sporting events, I've seen car shows, I've seen high school craft shows. I've just seen a wide variety. So we'll go over more about like which ones you'll want to keep an eye out for based on you and your business and what you're wanting to try next week when we talk about deciding which market to attend. But just know that there's a wide variety of markets out there. There's not just the ones where you are set up in usually a parking lot, everybody's got their tent kind of thing. That's not the only kind of event that there is out there. So when you join these groups, you will see all of those different kinds of markets being promoted. I would suggest that you join as many pages as you can, so that way you have the best chance of seeing a large variety of events in your area. Now, something that I want to caution you about is to be very, very careful. Like, please be very, very careful with scammers. I have seen numerous times where people have posted in these groups that I'm in for my local area about scammers with events, marketing events that are not actually legit. Again, we will go over more about how to decide which events to attend, but do your research on these markets that you're seeing in these groups. There's a variety of ways that you can do that, but the gist is do your research. So that's something to keep in mind. And one con about the Facebook groups is that there tends to be sometimes scammers, and especially if the admins of the group are very lax and don't necessarily keep an eye on or keep track of everything that's being posted, you can fall into a page of just a lot of scammers out there. If you have a page that has a really great admin team who is sifting through those and who is very vigilant about keeping an eye on scammers and making sure that those are not posted or at least limited as much as possible, then that's definitely the group that you want to be in. But regardless, I still think Facebook groups are a really, really awesome resource to finding vendor markets in your local area. And you can also find vendor markets in other areas. So if you are planning to try an out-of-state market, maybe you can join a Facebook group that is specifically for whatever state you're trying to go to. Or if you are in a small city and you are wanting to do vendor events, but there's really not much around you, then maybe go and search for the Facebook groups of the larger cities that are near you, or vice versa. You can also, if you're in the larger cities and you're wanting something a little bit smaller, a little bit more intimate, look in the Facebook pages for the cities that are around you that are a little bit smaller. So lots of different opportunities there to find a variety of vendor markets that are available. So you'll be surprised. Honestly, there is a ton. I was surprised at how many different kinds of markets there were. I was surprised at, how many markets were being hosted, every weekend. So yeah, Facebook groups is definitely a great place to look. Now, the second tip is from word of mouth. Word of mouth comes from actually two places in what I have found. And one of those is whenever you do go to markets or events, or you've made other small business friends who are doing markets, things like that, word of mouth can come through them. If you are at an event or you are talking to a small business friend who has done markets, you can talk to them and say, hey, like, what kind of events have you done? What are some good, markets that you've been involved in, and things like that. And a lot of times I've found that the vendors around me are willing to share and are willing to help each other out. So of course, make sure you do it in a nice, polite way. But in general, people have always been really willing to help me out and share that information. Especially if they are a vendor that is not only selling their own products and having their own business or service, but they are also hosting a market themselves. I have known quite a few people who have done both, who have had a booth at an event that I met, and turns out that they also have a market that they host as well. So that's another way that you can find markets via word of mouth from other small businesses at markets, events, things like that. The second way that you can find word of mouth to be helpful in finding markets for yourself is from friends and family. Those friends and family that know that you have a small business and who are supporting you and really helping you try to grow and branch out can also be on the lookout for markets. Facebook tends to have ads, especially for the events in the area, that will be geared maybe towards some of your friends and family. And so when an event comes across their Facebook page or their Instagram page, they might be willing to share that information with you. Or if they see it, they might think, oh, my friend so-and-so has this business. Maybe they would want to be a vendor there too. And that would be another great way to find markets via word of mouth. So the key with that one is you have to share your business with your friends and your family. You have to be willing to tell people about your business. If nobody knows that you have a business, then nobody can help you find markets. I know it's really, really scary to put yourself out there in front of your friends and family and tell them that you were doing this thing. But I have found that when I do that and I really just embrace it, I get a lot of support and I get a lot of love. And I'm really, really grateful for that. I know that not everybody is able to have that kind of circumstance, but if you do, use it as a resource to help you grow and to help you find markets and events for you to attend. Now, tip number 3 is to follow other small businesses on social media and be active on social media. Okay, that time it was Lala who woke up, and yeah, it's not only the twins, but for some reason Lala is also not sleeping super well right now. Anyways, I was on number 3, which number 3 was, again, following and other small businesses and being active on social media. I have found this to be helpful in a few different ways. One, because again, you don't know what vendors are not only having their small business that they go and be vendors at other markets, but who are also hosts for their own shows, their own craft fairs, their own markets. I have seen quite a few who have done that, and I have found some different events through that way. So being interactive with other small business owners and being engaging with them is a really good way to kind of set up good rapport. And when they have a market coming up, they might be more likely to reach out to you and say, hey, I have this market coming up and I think you'd be a great fit. Also, if you are more active on social media and things like that, others who maybe you are not following but maybe follow you will, again, they could be small businesses that are following you and who are also hosting events, may reach out, because I've had that happen where they reach out and say, hey, I have this event coming up and I think you'd be a great fit. So that's another way that you can use social media to find vendor markets. Okay, so the 4th and final tip that I have for finding events for you to be a vendor at is going to be using other small businesses that are already going to events. Now, what I mean by this is by the small businesses that you're following on social medias, the ones that have a similar target audience to you. What events are they going to? What markets do you see them posting about? This is a great way to find markets that you're not aware of, and to also see, like, hey, they go to this market and maybe you've seen them post about it, quite a few times, meaning that they've gone frequently to this particular market, and you feel that it would be a good fit for you because your vibe or your brand or your aesthetic is kind of on the same lines as that small business, and your target audience is very similar to their target audience. Now, I'm not saying for you to find somebody who sells the exact same item as you and go to those exact same markets. That's not what I'm saying. You don't want to do that because you don't want to be in a market that has a ton of vendors that are selling the same thing as you. It can be really frustrating for you as a vendor to be there and have 4, 5, 6 other people who are selling the same thing as you, because now you have a lot of competition at this one event. And it also can be frustrating for customers too, because as they're shopping around, there's just so many options that it can be really overwhelming. So I'm not telling you to go and find somebody who is selling the exact same items as you and go to the exact same shows as them. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is finding another business that is kind of in the same genre, the same pathway, the same kind of area that you are at, and seeing what events they're going to. They'll be posting about these events usually when they're getting ready to go to it, and then also whenever they are there at the event. So take note of what the name of the market was, what day it was. Is it a market that you've seen them post about before? So are they going maybe monthly, or is this one that they posted about last year that they're going back to again? All of those things will be really helpful information for you to know and have, so that way you can make a better decision on if it's a market you want to attend. We'll go more in depth on that next week in the video, again, when I talk about how to decide what markets you want to be involved in. But using other small businesses for that purpose of trying to figure out what other markets are out there, I think is a really great, helpful resource. Again, I'm not telling you to copy others. I'm not telling you to go to every exact same market as this other small business that is exactly like you. Although there's not any other small business that's exactly like you, because everybody is unique and everybody is their own person. And so they bring their own you-ness to their business. But you want to make sure that you're not copying others. And even in the sense of markets and things like that. So this is actually future me coming in, and I am working on editing this video, and I felt like I wanted to come in and give some clarification on the copying part here. So when I say don't copy another small business, of course you should never copy another small business and exactly what they're doing or anything like that. But as far as it's related to markets, I am more particularly talking about don't copy them as far as going to every single market. So I wouldn't necessarily go and follow another small business that I felt like was either being really successful, or I felt that we had similar types of items. I wouldn't go and follow them into every single market that they were going to. I would just kind of use the markets that they have posted about and take that information and decide if that's a market that I want to attend or not for me and my business. And hey, if it is, and it's seems to be well suited for you, great, then go for it. But just because another small business that you look up to, that you follow on Instagram, that you admire is going to this particular market and they happen to be in your local area, does not mean that you have to go to this market. So that's kind of what I meant by that. So I hope that gives a little bit of clarification. So let's keep on watching. Anyways, using that as a resource to find what other markets are there. And even if you're like, oh, this person went to this market, I don't really think that's going to be a fit for me, but maybe through that research, you'll be able to find other markets that are maybe a little bit closer to what you're looking for, but maybe still along the same lines. Now, a lot of times vendors will also be going to multiple events, so it's more than likely that they're going to be posting about, multiple events that are going on, whether that's every weekend for them, every month, or in the holiday season, every couple of weekends, or whatever the case is for them. But you can also find a wide variety of events that way as well. So we finally got through it, and none of the kids have woken up again. So thank goodness for that. But if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful in any way, then please feel free to give this video a big like, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so that way when I upload the rest of the videos in this series, you will be notified when I have done so. If you guys have any other ideas on how to find local vendor events that I did not mention in this video, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. Share the love, share the knowledge, so we can all help each other grow in our journeys. Other than that, I will see you guys next week, and let's talk about how to figure out what market is going to be best suited for us to join.